if you're struggling with happiness because you have relationship issues, because you are self-centered, because you never learned tools how to cope, because you never learned how to make mistakes and be okay with your mistakes and to dive into creative activities, because fear of making a mistake and performance anxiety is the first enemy of creativity. If you are during your childhood, you went through circumstances and events through education and schooling and all of that, you learned to be afraid
Yeah.
of making mistakes. You know, you don't want to make mistakes because you feel bad, etc., etc., right? So no, it's not a choice to be happy. And if you cannot be happy, that doesn't mean it's your fault because you're making the wrong
Yeah.
choice. No.
Uh,
If you want to put choice and happiness in the same sentence, you
okay.
need to add learn.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped how they see life, offering you daily doses of perspective that might just shift how you navigate your own journey. Today's guest is Dr. Jad Wehbe, a mind-body therapist who bridges the gap between physical healing and emotional wellness. His passion for understanding how our minds and bodies speak to each other was sparked by his own family's struggles with mental health, leading him down a fascinating path of discovery. Let's step into Jad's words and hear the wisdom that has guided his healing journey. Tell us your name.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So,
You
okay.
okay?
So my name is
What's
Jad
your favorite
Wehbe.
quote?
Well, my favorite quotes are actually the opposite or the critiques of certain very famous quotes. So, for example, one of my favorite quotes is "Time is not a healer. It's the opposite of time is a healer, or time heals or wounds." So, my favorite quote is like, "Time is not a healer." And if we just wait for time to pass, some wounds would never heal, and some wounds will even get worse, and pain can escalate, and our behaviors or mental health state can get more and more drastic. So sometimes if we just wait passively for time to heal our wounds and pain, it isn't enough. We should be more proactive, I think, in the way we address our healing journey or our mental
You
health.
see, when
So this is, for example, one of my favorite quotes is "Time is
okay,
not a
okay.
healer."
Before I ask you about your other favorite quotes, I just want to address something. You know, when people say time is a healer, one of the things they say is they assume, right? You know, they have this assumption where I'll give an example. You hop on the podcast, right? And I'm speaking to you in English, and I'm like, "Hi, good morning, and Jad, how you doing?" I assume that you speak English, and I assume that you understand what I'm saying, right? I don't even ask you that. I'm not like trying to say, do you understand like even if I say, do you understand the language? And if you don't understand the language, you'll not be able to answer me. I don't even that doesn't even cross my mind. It's not even a basis I try to address because I'm like, oh, he speaks English, he understands English, and you hop on the podcast and we're chatting and we're talking and I'm talking to you as if you know English. Same thing with time is a healer. People assume that for time, because this is it, time is a healer. The reason why they say time allows things to heal is that we assume that the healing process is taking place. And so if the healing process is taking place, then with time, it will get better. But if the healing process is not taking place, with time, it's going to get worse. But when people say that quote, they make this assumption, which is not always true, that, oh, the healing process is taking place. So what we just need to do is give it some time. But that's not always true.
Yeah. The problem is that when we talk about codes, it's so general, and all people on earth will listen to it. And some mental health states won't get this assumption. It's some, for example, people struggling with
Yeah. Okay.
anxiety, for example, right?
Okay.
Or with depression won't make this assumption. Sometimes they might, it can backfire because some people are not getting better, right? Not everyone gets better. Sometimes even people on their healing journey don't always get better, right? So if someone struggling and not getting better and would listen to that quote without the needed critical thinking around it. And that's why I love bringing awareness and education around quotes, that some aspect
Yeah.
of the quotes are correct and
Yeah.
helpful, but some other aspects can be misinterpreted, especially with anxiety and depression and people struggling, being stuck in some situations. Time is a healer, but it's not healing me, and I'm working and I'm not getting better. They can be, they can start feeling worse. They can start becoming hopeless and feel ashamed about themselves
Yeah.
because it doesn't apply to them. Another one,
Yeah.
since we're talking about it, another one, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, which is yeah, right, which is the most famous for me quote that is to- almost toxic for mental health, right?
Oh, wow. What doesn't kill you makes you strong. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
You see, we don't even need to explain it. Most of the time, what
Yeah,
doesn't kill you makes you weaker. 90% of the time, it
yeah,
doesn't make you stronger, really. It hurts you, it traumatizes you, it keeps you wounded, it creates a lot of damage in you. You can become an addict. Addiction is, a symptom of deep wounds and trauma that didn't kill the person, but
yeah,
it damaged them, severely and deeply in their souls and in their hearts. So if someone, and the problem isn't that, the problem is that there's a big category of people when they would read these quotes or listen to those quotes without the critical thinking
yeah,
behind it, they might feel
yeah,
worse. That's the problem. That's what worries me because I work with a lot of people on the mental health aspect. And what happens is that they end up, I should be stronger now. It didn't kill me and I'm supposed to feel stronger. Why am I not feeling stronger? And they start spiraling down because of that. So it's not always what we assume. Most of people would assume, but 20 people won't fall
yeah,
into this assumption.
yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
So some quotes can
Yeah,
be
I feel
dangerous.
like sometimes I see quotes as like how drugs they have side effects, and then they'll tell you that if you have this, don't use these drugs because it will react with this and it will react with that and stuff like that. And same thing with quotes. People just usually it's a quote, so it's like a snippet and it's put out of context. People don't really get it. So, oh, this is what they were saying when they said this stuff. It doesn't apply to every situation. This is the scenario behind it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why critical thinking and awareness while using quotes and being aware that some people would hear those quotes and will actually feel
Yeah, it's
worse.
the time. As I've been struggling with this for 15 years. It doesn't look like I'm healing. Things are getting worse. But how long should I wait for things to actually get
Yeah.
better? Time itself, it's not. Time itself, I think from what you said so far, time itself doesn't heal. It's just that the healing process takes time, but the healing process has to be in effect.
Yes. So exactly. So this is what I love actually is
Yeah,
updating those codes. It's adding, clarifying them, keeping them in their code in the pitch mode, right?
yeah,
In a one sentence thing, but adding one or two words on them to make them more
yeah,
mental health aware,
yeah.
right? So for example, how many quotes you want that can be easily misinterpreted and toxic for mental health?
Okay,
Shall I keep going? So
yeah.
one more very famous quote is success is the best
Success
revenge.
is the best revenge. Okay, okay, okay. No,
No pain,
no
no
pain,
gain.
no gain.
Another one.
Why am I just laughing? I know this is a very serious topic. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Maybe you never looked at
Yeah, it's
quotes
it's the
from
fact
that
that the people
angle.
that play this motivational stuff, like no pain, no gain. You gotta go strong. You gotta go strong, and it
Yeah.
appeals to certain persons. The thing is, they don't. I think in the book of Proverbs, they say, get wisdom and in order getting, get understanding. They don't understand these things. Like they feel like yeah, no pain, no gain, I'm wise, but they lack understanding. They don't have understanding. That's just the word. They don't really understand this stuff. And instead of helping them, it's killing them. It's it's maiming them. That's for those that it's not killing. And they're like, oh, no pain, no gain. Success is the best revenge. And yeah, you are like, I don't know how people with revenge, work, but you living your life every day, like, oh, I need, like, you are in this kind of mental prison because someone did something to you and like I have to get revenge, and you just can't enjoy your life and say, okay, what do I want to do?
Yeah. And it becomes your motivation. How toxic this motivation can be to want to succeed just for revenge, not to even to enjoy what you're doing, not to
Yeah,
inspire others, not to be fulfilled, just for revenge. And that's a
yeah,
very famous
yeah.
quote.
Success is the best revenge, and I feel that there are certain quotes that when you pull them out of context, right, stand alone, they make sense. They don't have any issues, right? You read the quotes, and it's not one of those quotes that is subject to misinterpretation. But then certain quotes that it only makes sense in that context they talked about it, right? Not you just pull it out. And sometimes people usually someone is giving a talk, and he's like, okay, so when the person did this, he was like, oh, so what was your drive? My drive was like, success is the best revenge, and I had to do this, and this is why I have what I have. And you guess, the way human mind works is that you pull out the sound bites, and because the says success is the best. You're like, yeah, that's the best. That stuff is quotable. They'll pull it out, and now before you know it, it's on social media, and someone like, yeah, I love this stuff. Someone shares it, reposts it, someone, and then before you know, everybody's like, success is the best revenge. And now you don't even know where the context of that conversation is coming from, but you're like, yeah, success is the best revenge, and that's it. And at the end of the day, you are hurting yourself. I like the first two because you redefined it. So if you this I think you mentioned two more. Success is the best revenge. No pain, no gain. If we had to revise these quotes, right? To revise them, let's say the first time when we gave those, I know we're not the one that put the quote out there, but we didn't know any better. Now we know better. If we had to revise the quotes, what would the quotes be like?
So, for example, no pain, and that's my favorite part, it's to revise them, to revisit them. So, for example, I would say sometimes through
Okay,
pain we can grow. Sometimes pain can be a gain, can be an
okay,
opportunity for gain.
sometime.
But
Mm,
no pain, no gain in a very rigid way, like no pain, no gain. If you're not
yeah,
suffering,
you're doing it
forget
wrong.
it. You're not
You're
gonna
making a
gain
mistake.
anything. This this strict, very rigid way it's done, right? So, for example, success is the best revenge. I would say, I don't know, happiness is the best success. Forget about revenge. Revenge is the best punishment for yourself, and happiness is your
when
best
you say
success.
when you say
What about that?
success is happiness, I remember this quote, and I can't remember who said the quote, so I'm just going to say anonymous, but I know someone said it. It's not my quote. So if if just for those who are listening out there, so they don't like attribute a quote that I didn't come up with, and the guy was like, he said to be happy in life is easy. He said, but the problem is that we want to be happier than others, and that's where the problem is. Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind the scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. To be happy is easy. Like to be happy and say, oh yeah, yeah, I'm doing well. It's easy, but we're like, oh, my neighbor is doing this stuff. Look me now, I'm making this. Oh, my brother is this. My cousin is this. That's where the problem is. So and same thing with success. Is the best revenge. Same thing. When just to like look at ourselves and say, okay, I'm happy, but without comparison to people or this or that, it's easy, right? But the problem we all have is that we're like, oh, do I have more money than this person? Do I do this more than this person? Do I do that? And we always see people that are better than us. Well, they'll always be there in one thing or the other.
So I'll challenge you more. I'll challenge you more on that. Okay. Here's another quote. Happiness
Mm,
is a choice.
mm,
What do you think? Now that we're exploring and
hmm.
looking at quotes through
Uncharted
a
territories.
different lens of
Happiness is a
critical
choice.
thinking, what do you think? Happiness is a choice. So if you're not happy, whose fault is that?
I think.
If someone who's unhappy and he would read that quote from a very famous person, a celebrity, who, that is inspiring for them. And that person would say that quote because it's a very well known quote and say, happiness is a choice, and I choose to be
Mm.
happy. And you're struggling with unhappiness and you're not being able to be happy. And you hear that. What
Oh,
would that make you feel? I
happiness
want
is
to
a
hear you.
choice, and I choose to be happy. First of all, it depends. Okay, there are circumstances where there's this. I'll make a reference to a book in Ecclesiastic in the Bible where it said that everything has a time and there's a season, right? I know that most people are like, oh, you have to be happy and all that, but certain times there are times where terrible things happen and you just need to cry and be sad, and it's the season, right? And but then happiness is a choice. It's a bold choice because it's okay. Where I'm thinking from is more like certain things that are happening around you. You have the power to decide how you respond or feel about it.
Okay.
And I'm open to learning.
It's more
I'm open to learning.
complicated than that.
Enlighten me. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Listen, I'll, 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 I'll,
Okay,
I'll
okay,
update it for you.
okay.
Okay. So you see what I mean. Happiness is something we learn. We choose to learn how to become happy. There's a roadmap. Happiness is a complex thing. We need to learn how to be happy. We call them the 4 C's of happiness. Is contribution, coping,
You're going so
connecting,
fast. Like it's
creating.
too much value. Like
Okay,
I'm trying to allow it each to sink in. Everything is
okay.
moving so fast.
I'll,
Wow.
okay, okay. So happiness is something we choose to
Oh,
learn
okay.
because we need to learn what does happiness means. If we look at happiness from a neurological angle and a neuropsychological angle, we call them the four
Okay.
C's of happiness.
Okay.
Contribution. The more we contribute to
Society,
in
project, all
to
those things.
others'
Yeah.
life, the happier we are. The more we look outside ourselves, the happier we are. The more we connect with people on a deep level in a satisfying way,
Yeah.
the more we are happy. The more we learn how to cope with stressful situations, the happier we are. The more we invest time and effort in
Oh.
creative activity,
Oh.
the happier we are. So it's contribution, connection, coping, creativity, the happier we are. So no, happiness is not a choice
Oh.
because
I
if you're
see where the
struggling with
problem is now.
happiness,
I see where the problem is.
see, if you're struggling with happiness because you have relationship issues, because you are self-centered, because you never learned tools how to cope, because you never learned how to make mistakes and be okay with your mistakes and to dive into creative activities, because fear of making a mistake and performance anxiety is the first enemy of creativity. If you are during your childhood, you went through circumstances and events through education and schooling and all of that, you learned to be afraid
Yeah.
of making mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes because you feel bad, etc., etc., right? So no, it's not a choice to be happy. And if you cannot be happy, that doesn't mean it's your fault because you're making the wrong
Yeah.
choice. No,
Uh.
if you want to put choice and happiness in the same sentence, you
Okay.
need to add learn. You choose to learn to be happy. So learn, there's learning, there's seeking more information, seeking education, seeking mentorship, seeking reading, researching how to become happy if I'm not being able to be happy. So the choice is
Yeah.
on the learning,
Jad.
not on the
Other than English, do
happiness.
you speak any other language?
How many
Other than
languages I
English, which other
speak?
language do you speak?
I speak French and
In terms of
I speak
Lebanese and
Lebanese.
French, which is your most fluent? Like French. Okay.
French.
Now, it's just like if I was to say French, speaking French is a choice. And that's what like happiness is a choice. But instead is learning to speak French is a choice. And so a lot
Yeah.
of persons are like, I want to speak French. I've chosen to speak French, but I just cannot speak French. The words are not coming out of my mouth. What am I saying? I'm biting my tongue. And here you are, someone else is like, oh, I speak French. I choose to speak French. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm making that choice. Why is it hard for me? Is it that there's some persons reserved for this stuff? But then we're like, okay, so I need to learn how to speak French. Oh, I need to take some classes. I need to practice with people. Oh, I need to listen to more French stuff. Oh, I need to, so yeah. So now it makes sense. Oh, it's a journey, it's a process. Okay, I need to keep working on the French, and over time, my French will become fluent, and yeah, I could speak it more. Wow.
Yeah. So happiness should be addressed
Yeah.
the same way. But that's not it. I always give the comparison of lifting weights in the
Yeah, I
gym,
know where you're going with this.
right? So is that right? So happiness is, for example, lifting, I don't
Pounds.
know, 200 pounds. You
I
cannot
choose
just
to.
go,
I choose
lifting 200
to
pounds is
lift
a
200
choice.
pounds.
No, I
And
choose to. Yeah, right? I'm going to manifest it. I'm going
I,
to manifest
and
it,
then the thing will
right?
break
I'm
the
going to
neck.
think about it. I'm going to imagine it and I'm going to manifest
You
it,
just be, it's good
right?
you have a good spotter. If not, the weight might end up breaking the neck of the person lifting it.
Yeah. So, but again, when you put it on languages or a skill, I choose to play guitar, for example. I choose to play this instrument. The brain will connect it directly. Yeah, I choose to learn. The brain, in an unspoken way, would understand that there's a learning component. But when it comes to happiness, when it comes to mental health states, the brain can easily, specifically for people struggling with happiness, specifically, they might go into self-blame. They might feel there's
Yeah.
something wrong in them. They might feel they're a failure. They might feel that, they're stupid. There's something wrong in their mind because th- they're not being able to make the right choice, and it's
Yeah.
on them. Where it is their responsibility to be happy because no one else can make them happy, right? We have to be clear on that. They have to take
I
responsibility
think it's still the same
to be
thing. It's
happy.
your
But
responsibility to learn how to speak French. I mean, you could get an interpreter, but for you to speak French, it's your responsibility to lift weights. It's your
yeah,
responsibility. You choose to learn to do those stuff, but just choosing is not going to make you do those stuff. You have to like your choice is not for the doing of the stuff; it's for the learning how to do the stuff. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for this eye
yeah,
opener and realization. Thank you so much. This episode, I feel so happy right now. I'm radiating with happiness. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm always happy when I gain. Of course, all the episodes are valuable, but every time I record an episode that I'm like, oh, I learned something today, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm happy. Then of course I publish it for the audience, but some episodes it's valuable, but I'm like, I knew that stuff before, but I mean, the audience will find value from it, but I mean, I didn't really learn anything new. It's not like there's anything wrong with the episode, but yeah, yeah, but this is different.
I'm as happy because, you know, learning is happiness and
Yeah,
sharing is
yeah,
happiness too. So I'm
yeah,
happy to contribute. Talking about happiness and contribution, I always love sharing information and reflecting out loud with people like you, where we challenge, old thinkings and old ways of doing so, and trying to, encourage critical thinking, especially when it
yeah,
comes to mental health, because it's very
yeah, sensitive.
delicate, and it's misunderstanding and misinterpretations of words can
Yeah,
be very harmful.
when you just say this thing, what I remember is a lot of persons are in. I don't want to. Okay, they are in deep. I'll allow you to complete the remaining part of that sentence because they've been told that time is a healer, and so instead of addressing the issues, dealing with it, or seeking help where they need to seek help, doing what needs to be done, they are like, oh, I have this problem. If I just wait for the next 5 years, I should be okay. In 6 years, 7 years, I should be okay. Time will heal. And now something that they're
Yes,
supposed to address, like in year one, year two, it's lingered on to 8 years, affecting their life, affecting their relationship, affecting everything. And I'm like, it didn't have to be so. They were just misled.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
In a
yeah.
nutshell,
Thank you so
that's the
much for sharing this
message.
code with us, for helping us make sense of it, and for opening our eyes to things. Now I can see what I never thought was there. Thank you so much, Jad. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. There are
Yeah.
hundreds of quotes that needs to
Yeah.
be revisited, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So
This is one of those episodes that
that's that's a horizon. That's opening a
this is one of
horizon
those
now.
episodes that I record and I'm asking myself, why am I doing a 30-minute show? I probably should have been doing maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, because I know that I have questions to ask about the contribution, about what it means to be creative. How do we define, you know, that I know I'm going to make a special arrangement to bring you back on the podcast, even though whether it's this podcast and then we really
That
go
would be a
deep into
pleasure.
probably maybe just the contribution aspect of happiness. Because I know a lot of persons, they are isolated from the world. They're working, they come out in the world, but they're not in the world. They're not connected to any society, any tribe, any group, nothing. Like they just themselves and then social media and nothing. There's nowhere where they say, oh, I serve in this, I volunteer in this, I contribute to this, we do this family. There's nothing. And they're lonely, even though people are around, there's no
Yeah,
connection. And that's something I know I would want us to really
yeah,
go deep into. And please, and I know that I'm no longer a stranger, so I would reach out when the time comes.
yeah. I'm gonna finish it with a
Okay.
quote that I love, and it's not a quote. Through the latest science and data, this quote is
Okay.
starting to emerge. Okay, it's loneliness is the new
Oh,
cigarette.
whew. What? Why are you doing this, Jad? Why do you want to kill us with
See,
suspense?
see, you next.
You purposely put this at the end of the episode when you know that I would want to ask a lot of questions. Why? Loneliness is
Yeah, but that's the
okay.
good ending. It should be inspiring for
Okay.
more reflection,
Yeah, I think
an
we'll
open
start off.
ending. And I
Yeah,
really hope to see you soon. And with pleasure, we can revisit as much quotes and make them better and more appealing and more educational
yeah,
for mental health. And diving into happiness
yeah.
also, it would be a
Once
pleasure.
once again,
Really, it
thank you
was a
so much for
pleasure.
people who they've been super wild. People like me and others who want to learn more about you and connect with you. Where can they do that?
Through my Instagram, I post a lot of things on my Instagram. It's in my name, Jad Wehbe, Wejad, and then Wehbe, or on the Bridge Institute, where we give courses on the YouTube channel also of the Bridge Institute.com. We also have free educational material. We have courses on stress management and on happiness, free on our YouTube channel, the YouTube of thebridgeinstitute.com, or on the website,
Yeah.
thebridgeinstitute.com
Did you
also.
say free? Wow.
On
Wow.
YouTube, yeah, for sure. We
Yeah.
have courses. We have on the YouTube channel of the Bridge Institute. We have definitely free courses for stress management where we raise awareness. We share tools how to deal with stress on the coping component of the happiness. We really share interesting tools and quite deep tools also on how to improve the coping skills in order to improve the
Yeah.
general happiness
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing
score.
that YouTube channel. I found something I'll binge watch and go check out and really go deeper into it before we meet again. Thank you so much, Jad. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.